Well, I remember like one summer, for some reason, we were taking like art lessons.
Right.
And mom came to pick us up, and we like ran out and gave her a hug. I think we must have been like 12, 11, 12-ish,
Right.
like that old. And then it was the art teacher, I think. She said to mom like, well, just like wait until they're teenagers because you're not gonna see that anymore. And I just remember being so mad. Like I think we both were really mad.
Like,
What?
what
Like
is-
why can we not like continue?
What
to...
happens when you turn 13, you know?
Yeah, well, and that's really how our society looks at it. It's like, you go from, being 12 to suddenly 13, now you're a teenager, and now you're a monster, you're foolish and immature, you do dumb things, you rebel against your parents, like all of that is just, our culture expects that, and it's just a lie.
No, I mean, we expect, little kids to succeed in the areas that they have to grow. They all learn to walk, They all learn to talk, they cross all their big hurdles, and then as teenagers we're like, floundering, and everyone's like, oh, that's fine, that's just what teenagers do.
And it's not good for teens. I mean, the Bible says don't let anyone look down on you because you're young. Teenagers are probably the most looked down upon, like the most despised age group. Like think about it, like
Right.
Is there any age group that's more looked down upon than teens? I don't think so. Brett and I are at school because we believe that these years are vitally important as we prepare for a whole lifetime of effective service to God. And that's not just true about the college years, it's true about all of the teen years. All of our young adult years are meant to be that time when we prepare, where we train, and where we equip ourselves to be of good use to God. Unfortunately, a lot of young people today don't believe the teen years are their time to prepare. They believe it's their time to have fun. It reminds me of a story of a guy named Raymond. He's 18 years old, his parents divorced when he was just 14. He's involved in everything and anything you can imagine. Smoking, drinking, drugs, drug dealing. He goes from job to job, relationship to relationship. And when you talk to Raymond, he expresses a lot of regret. He recognizes that his life is not what he wants it to be. He says things like, you know what, I wish I hadn't bought into the lie that the teen years, high school is just about having fun and goofing off. But when you ask him, okay, Raymond, so why don't you change now? Why don't you change your focus? You see that he's still caught up in it. He says, no, this isn't my last summer. This is my last year of high school. This is gonna be a summer of fun. I'm just gonna have fun and have a good time, getting serious about my walk with God, getting serious about preparing for my future. All of that stuff is important, but that happens later. Why is it that when we hear other people's stories like Raymond's, we're so quick to recognize he's setting himself up for disappointment? He's one of those guys who thinks he's having a good time, getting what he wants out of life, but he's going to be gravely disappointed when life hits him upside the head and he realizes he's not ready. He's been traveling down the wrong path all this time. It reminds me of something that I learned when Brett and I took swimming lessons when we were kids, and that's that there's a certain spot on the diving board. It's called the sweet spot, and when you hit it just right, it launches you into the air and hopefully into the pool in a perfect swan dive. Of course, if anyone's watching you, which is what usually happened to me, is you miss the spot, you jolt awkwardly, and you kind of tumble and belly flop into the swimming pool. That's what you don't want. And in a lot of ways, the teen years are kind of like a diving board. The pool is the rest of our lives, and we want to use the teen years as a launching pad for the rest of our lives. We want to hit the sweet spot. We want to build momentum in a positive, right direction, and that's the opportunity we have. There's an old proverb that says, as the twig is bent, so grows the tree. A lot of young people today think that it doesn't matter how they use the teen years, but nothing could be more wrong. A lot of us could be kind of clinging to the diving board, not wanting to grow up, not wanting to take responsibility, and we don't realize that that's the whole purpose of the teen years. That's the whole purpose of the diving board, not to cling on to it and try not to fall into the water, but to use it to launch us into the water with momentum and with purpose. As young people, the book of Proverbs says our glory is our strength. That means that our flexible schedules, our energy, our strength, our sharp minds, equip us in a unique way right now to determine who we will become for the rest of our lives. By choosing to use the teen years not as a vacation, but rather as the launching pad for the rest of our lives, we can choose to set direction, build momentum, and launch ourselves into an amazing future.